coming up on Retirement Solutions Television.
One of our pet peeves is when you call Social Security an entitlement program. Don't ever call it an entitlement program, Mark, because it's a retirement program. You've put 12.4% of that hard-earned money for the last 20, 30, maybe even 40 years and beyond into Social Security. You need to wring every nickel out of it. Sit down before a significant life event happens. Take the time to plan. Take the time to understand where you're at and what your weaknesses are in your plan, because that's the number one thing. Is if you do not know what your weaknesses are, then it becomes very, very scary. And it's a question that I think is on a lot of minds right now. The question is, will Social Security be there for me during retirement? I mean, you think about all this money that you paid in, the 12.4% that you've been paying all the way back to that very first paycheck as a kid. It's a lot of money.
And now your hosts of Retirement Solutions Television, the Retirement Brothers, Tyson and Ryan Thacker.
Hello and welcome to Retirement Solutions Television. My name is Ryan Thacker, along with my brother Tyson Thacker, and we are the Retirement Brothers.
We've got 30 minutes worth of action-packed education ready for you. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Retirement Roundtable. Guys, we have two topics that we've talked about in other shows, Social Security and taxes, but we're going to talk about them together right now. And Ryan, I'm going to start with you. Why is this important to talk about taxes and Social Security together as one topic?
Well, Mark, this is one of those things that can hit you like a ton of bricks. And what I mean by that is the money that you are planning on and preparing for in retirement using Social Security, it could only be a fraction of what you're planning on, and the reason is because of taxes. And you need to understand what your current tax situation is so that you can understand how that's going to play into Social Security. And here's what happens. If you're a married couple in this country and you have the term is provisional income that exceeds $44,000 a year, as much as 85% of your Social Security check could be taxed. Think about that for a second. As much as 85% of your Social Security check could be taxed. And that is going to reduce what you can spend. As we all know, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And taxes play a big role in Social Security.
And I'll bet you there's a lot of people out there, Tyson, who have no idea about that. I had no idea about that. I thought, okay, that Social Security, whatever my tax bracket is, maybe I could be charged what my tax bracket is. But that's not the case.
Yeah, there's so much misinformation about this, and that's why we're passionate about getting this to everyone and educating them on this, because if they are planning on this Social Security income, you know, it used to be, hey, we tax it when we pull it out of the check, and there was no tax after. But now, because up to 85% could be taxed, people find themselves after they retire, they're like, where's the rest of my money? And it creates a shortfall in income that they weren't expecting. And there's a lot of strategies. That's one of the reasons, again, for us to do the Social Security check, is because we want to make sure that we show everyone how to maximize that Social Security along with those taxes, because there's a lot of ways to wring every nickel out of Social Security if you're armed with the right information.
Another number, Mark, that's not very fun, 12.4% of your check between you and your employer goes to Social Security. And so if you go all the way back, one of my favorite clients, he's a concrete worker, 47 years, getting up at 4:30 in the morning, making sure he was there when the concrete truck showed up to pour that concrete. 47 years of 12.4%. And one of our pet peeves is when you call Social Security an entitlement program. Don't ever call it an entitlement program, Mark, because it's a retirement program. You've put 12.4% of that hard-earned money for the last 20, 30, maybe even 40 years and beyond into Social Security. You need to wring every nickel out of it.
But I could just call the Social Security office, right? And have them say, what's the best way for me to take it?
That's what so many people walk through our door and they're frustrated because I've tried that a couple times. And what they're told, the employees are told at the Social Security Administration, only answer the questions that are asked. Well, what if you don't know the right questions to ask? That's what we arm you with, is to make sure that you understand what those strategies are, and we walk through every piece of it so that you can understand clearly what's yours and how to make sure that you do your best with Social Security.
Well, let me ask you a follow-up to that. If I'm watching today, what are some of the, and I know it would take a lot of time to get into the individual strategies, but what are some of those things that we need to make people aware of so that they can maybe start down that path of getting help, in addition to, of course, coming in?
Yeah, let me give you just a few basics. Number one is, do you understand what a spousal benefit is? If you have a spouse who has been a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, many families don't know that that non-working spouse is entitled to a spousal benefit. Spousal benefit, if you have a husband that's entitled to receive $2,000 a month, and then you have a wife who's never worked, doesn't have the earnings credit, she could earn $1,000 a month, 1/2 of that age 66 income. That's a benefit that really adds up.
Tyson?
Last thing I'll say is we can really make it simple by coming in and walking through this process. We look at longevity, we look at a health for both of the couple, and we want to make sure that it's all part of that planning process.
Ryan, Tyson, thanks so much. Hey, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
Life, a series of moments. A touch, a look, a laugh. Successful people. It might not be superior imagination. It just might be superior retirement planning. Imagine what's next. Plan today, own tomorrow.
Call Boss Retirement Solutions, 801-610-1234.
From my experience, many retirees keep too much of their assets in the stock market after they retire. A well-diversified retirement portfolio should have assets in each of the 3 different stages. The youth stage, putting money into savings. The adult stage, putting a portion into investments. And when you reach the mature stage, you should transition from growing and risking to protecting and guaranteeing yourself income. If you aren't sure about your risk, call now or go to AskBossRetirement.com to get a free Boss Retirement Blueprint. This is an easy to understand financial review. There's no obligation and no cost if you have saved at least $200,000 for retirement. And here's what you'll get: a free report to sort through your current advisor costs, a tailored strategy to help guard your assets, a tax analysis to potentially reduce your tax liability and increase your cash flow, and an income plan plus a budget analysis. Call now or go to AskBossRetirement.com.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
Today we have a great question that we want to talk about with Social Security. This is a question that we get all of the time in our public workshops, and it's a question that I think is on a lot of minds right now. The question is, will Social Security be there for me during retirement? I mean, you think about all this money that you paid in, the 12.4% that you've been paying all the way back to that very first paycheck as a kid. It's a lot of money. Tyson, let's just talk about this a little bit. Are these concerns, are they real? Are they grounded?
You know, there's a couple of things to think about. Obviously, Social Security has changed over the last few years, and just recently some more changes happened.
And I think that makes everyone a little bit nervous when you have a change, right?
That's part of why people are asking this question so often. But it's also that there's this gap starting close to 2030 where people are concerned that there's going to be more people that are taking Social Security out of the system than people paying into it. That's part of the concern as well. You hear from many years ago that there's no money in that lockbox for Social Security. Here's a couple of things to keep in mind as you are thinking about Social Security. The first one is this: how many people are 55 and up, and do they vote? In fact, a recent study was just done, and that is the largest segment of the population that does vote. And
I think when you think of that voting block, who votes more, right?
That's right.
The baby boomers or the millennials? Right?
By far the baby boomers.
I mean, I was just thinking about, we were at lunch recently, and we had a group in our by our corporate office. There's a lot of technology companies, a lot of 20-something-year-olds. We're listening to their conversation at the lunch table. They're talking about the video games that they're creating, which is pretty amazing. I mean, kids talk
They're
about
definitely
it.
not talking about Social Security.
They were not talking about who was going to win the presidential election. They were talking about video games. Who votes more, the baby boomers or that group? It's definitely the baby boomers.
And so, as a result, if you're 55 and up, we feel pretty certain that Social Security will be around. Now, Ryan and I'm 45, Ryan's 43, and we're wondering, there could be some means tests happening that if you earn too much money, there's some changes that could be on the horizon. But the bottom line is, for you, as long as you're 55 and up, that it most likely will be there for you.
And here's the other thing that they continue to look at and evaluate. Currently 12.4% going into that paycheck. It's been on the table. What if we raise the payroll taxes? What if we, instead of 12.4, what if we raise them to 15 or 15.4? That will give more money into the system. That's an additional tax that you're going to need to be worried about. But they continue to raise the payroll tax limitation. Right now, it's about $118,000 that they take out of Social Security. They're talking about increasing that, and they increase that a little bit every year. The other portion is they want to continue to push back the age on Social Security of when you can start your benefit as a full retirement benefit. It used to be you could start at 65. Now we see 66 and 67. There could be a day
go
when
to 70, right?
When it's age 70 before you're eligible to take out your benefits.
So if you have questions like this, any questions about Social Security or about the rest of your retirement plan, we'd love to continue the conversation. Just go to our website or join us in person. We'd love to get to know you more and your situation.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
Having no clear retirement plan is a mistake I see a lot in my financial planning office when I meet with someone new. It is extremely rare that someone comes in and has a clearly defined income plan for his or her retirement. One way you will be able to get a clearly defined retirement income plan is to talk to an independent financial advisor who specializes in retirement planning. Not someone who is specialized in getting you to retirement, but someone who is dedicated to getting you through retirement. If you don't have a clear retirement plan, then be one of the first 5 callers and you will receive a free complimentary planning review. There is no obligation and no cost if you have at least $200,000 saved for retirement. Here's what you will receive: a free report to sort through your current advisor costs, a tailored plan to guard your investments, tax analysis to reduce liability and increase cash flow, and a custom income plan to boost retirement. Plus, you'll receive a budget assessment to help manage your cash flow. So call now for your free, no obligation financial review.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV. Hi, and welcome to this week's AskBossRetirement.com, where you send in your questions to us, and we answer them right here on the show. Ryan, you ready for your first question?
I am. Let's go, Mark.
All right. This is from Robert in Bountiful, and he writes, Ryan, the stock market makes me nervous. How can I protect my retirement savings with a good strategy?
Robert, that's a great question, and thank you for sending that in today. You know, a lot of families, that's a common concern that we find is the stock market. And it's a little bit different. When you're 30 or 40, you have the time to make that loss up. But now as you get near retirement or you've just recently retired, that's the time to create a strategy to protect your hard-earned retirement savings. And what we recommend, Mark, is that if you come in and visit with us, we can have a discussion about your risk tolerance. In fact, what we can do is we can actually quantify that risk for you, Robert, and we can dial that in so that you know exactly how much risk you're taking. Because here's the key. If you know what risk you're taking and you're not comfortable with that, we can dial that back so that it's a strategy that you're comfortable with. If it's too conservative, we see that opposite as well. We can increase that risk score so that you can make sure that you have a plan that's going to help you beat inflation and get to retirement.
You know, this question comes up so much. Risk, the stock market, risk, the stock market. As one gets a little older, is there a rule of thumb that says, okay, I'm this age right now, a certain portion of my portfolio can be risky or not? I know it's case by case and you do custom analysis, but you know, I'm 55 years old. I'm not going to invest like I was when I was 35. So is there some sort of rule of thumb?
Well, here's the bottom line that we find is the older you get and the closer you get to retirement, it's natural to start having this feeling like, I don't want to take all this market risk anymore. And some people feel guilty about it. It's like, oh, I know I should be in the market, but I want to make a change, but that's not what my advisor's telling me. I need to stay in the market. It's okay to dial back that risk. And that's where it comes to having a customized strategy to meet your needs. This is not a cookie cutter approach, Mark. This is something that needs to be individual. And oftentimes we see husband and wife. Wife is more aggressive than the husband or vice versa. And this comes down to creating a strategy that you can be together and understand what your options are. And that's where we're here to guide you at Boss Retirement Solutions.
Great. My next question is from Tracy in Draper. And she writes, Ryan, I'm 71 and recently widowed. How do I know if I'm going to have enough money to last me for the rest of my life?
You know, first of all, Tracy, so sorry about being recently widowed. And, you know, this is a question that's not uncommon. And the number one concern in retirement is, will my money last all the way through retirement? And here's what we want to help you with. We want to be able to help you understand for your specific situation what this looks like. Here's what we can do. Come in, sit down with us. What we will do is we'll take a look at all the retirement accounts, the brokerage accounts, the 401ks, the IRAs, and we'll do what we call a stress test. Now, the stress test is to give you peace of mind, not to create more stress. And what we can do for you is we can look at your individual situation and we can say, how many years will this last in the current market environment? And if we have a market downturn, what does that look like? And we'll help give specific advice that will help you be able to sleep well at night and know with confidence that you're going to be okay.
You know, I have to tell you, I find it so brave of Tracy to write in that question. And I think for other couples out there, let this be a little bit of a yellow flag here, that you really need to have your affairs in order. Can you go a little further into that?
Well, I mean, this is a question that we get usually after a significant event has happened. Someone has become widowed. And, you know, we've talked about earlier about a widow who came in and she was just really concerned about the money and what was going to happen. And we were able to find a Social Security strategy that gave her almost $750 per month. That's $9,000 a year in additional funds. She had no idea. We were able to create that strategy for 4 years prior to her turning on her late husband's Social Security. That's $36,000 in income. That means a lot. So that's the number one thing. But husband and wife, sit down before a significant life event happens. Take the time to plan. Take the time to understand where you're at and what your weaknesses are in your plan. Because that's the number one thing, is if you do not know what your weaknesses are, then it becomes very, very scary if you have a life event happen like this. If with proper planning, you can have the confidence to be able to have peace of mind if an unforeseen event were to take place.
Ryan, thanks so much. If you'd like to have your question answered here on the show, it's really easy. Just go to askbossretirement.com and send us your question. Stick around. We got a lot of great stuff to come. You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
You made it. Years of hard work, investing, planning, and now you're here. The long-awaited reward you spent a lifetime looking forward to. But what now? After years of growing a nest egg, now you may want to manage it. Use it to fund your dreams. Make it last as long as you need it. And leave some for those you love. So what do? Wall Street continues to be uncertain, and some conservative options have dropped through the floor. How do you maintain opportunities for growth and reduce risk of loss from market changes? That's where we come in. We are financial professionals. From investments and insurance products to tax reduction strategies and guaranteed retirement income you cannot outlive, provided by the claims-paying ability of insurance companies. You've worked a lifetime to get here. Let us help you enjoy it to the fullest. For a complimentary consultation, simply contact us today.
Having no clear retirement plan is a mistake I see a lot in my financial planning office when I meet someone for the first time. It is extremely rare that someone comes in and has a clearly defined income plan for his or her retirement. One way you'll be able to get a clearly defined retirement income plan is to talk to an independent financial advisor who specializes in retirement planning. Not someone who specializes in getting you to retirement, but someone who is dedicated getting you through retirement. If you don't have a clear retirement plan, then be one of the first 5 callers and you'll receive a free complimentary planning review. There's no obligation and no cost if you have at least $200,000 saved for retirement. Here's what you'll receive: a free report to sort through your current advisor costs, a tailored plan to guard your investments, tax analysis to reduce your tax liability and increase your cash flow, and a customized income plan to boost your retirement. Plus, you'll receive a budget assessment to help you manage your cash flow. So call now for your free, no obligation financial review.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV. All right, guys, we got a great show today. In fact, this is part 1 of a 2-part series. Hey, listen, when we talk about this topic, the phone rings, the emails go, and that topic is Social Security. A lot of confusion out there. Did I take it right? What should I do? What are all the benefits? Over 500 ways, right, to do this?
Well, and on top of that, the reason why it's so confusing is because there are over 2,700 different rules as it relates to Social Security that somebody has to try to circumnavigate and try to figure out for themselves. And they're hearing things at the water cooler, they're talking to their friends, and they're all getting this conflicting advice. And so a long time ago, as part of that education process, Mark, we really said, we need to make Social Security something that we talk to everybody about, because we really want to cut through the clutter and make sure that people understand what they should be doing in their situation.
And I'll tell you something, 2,700 pages. Why did the government have to keep it so simple, right?
Oh, it's just simple. You've just been paying into it for the last 30, 35, 40 years, right? And if you're in that situation where you've been paying into Social Security, 12.4% of that paycheck from the very first nickel that you received went back into Social Security. One of my favorite ones that I just love to talk about, a man who was a commercial concrete foreman for 47 years, got up every morning, 4:30 in the morning, went to work, and he brought his statement in, and it showed 47 years, went back to 1969.
Wow.
And he looked at me and he said, Ryan, I've never made more than $50,000 a year, but here's the bottom line. Here's my $600,000 that I've saved, which was amazing. And he said, this is all I have.
Mm-hmm.
This is all I literally
Don't
have.
want to make a mistake, right?
To get me all the way through retirement, help me understand how I can wring every nickel out of Social Security, help me understand how I can have a plan that's going to give me confidence to go into retirement. And that's, for us, just the education and helping you understand what your options are when it comes to Social Security. We're passionate about it, and that's why we want to help you.
And I'll tell you something, too. There are some big mistakes that can happen here that if you don't do it correctly, provided that you haven't turned it on yet, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This could be the difference of tens of thousands of dollars.
If not hundreds of thousands.
Or more.
Yeah. And probably the most common question we get is, what age should I start taking Social Security? Mark, the majority of everybody still takes it at 62. You may be surprised by that. There's
60% of women and 50% of men.
That's right. And there are so many people that could have waited and had it be so much more efficient, even just by a couple of years, because the first thing that everyone needs to understand that we want to talk about today is that 8% rule. So from 62 all the way to 70, the longer you wait to take Social Security, every year you get an extra 8%. A lot of people ask the question, well, do I have to wait until like from 62 to 63? No, it's actually prorated. Let's say you took it at 62 and a half. It's prorated, and they would get half of that 8% as an example. And so there's a lot of planning that goes into this. And just to be clear, we don't make any money. We wish it would be nice if we made some money off of this, but we feel so passionate about the education piece with Social Security that we talk about this because we want to do what's best for each client. And it's not just about looking at it in a silo. It's making sure that you look at the overall plan and do the right thing as it relates to the entire plan.
You know, you think about it, 8%. There aren't a lot of investment products that are going to go up 8% guaranteed.
That's
now,
right.
How long does that 8%, if I decide I'm not going to take it at 62, Ryan, how long will it keep going 8%?
So for every year that you defer and delay that, it's going to increase 8%. So from 62 to 63, that would be an 8% increase. If you go from 64 to 65, that would be an 8% increase. So really, when you look at this, this can really add up.
So
do
to
I have
clarify,
to
though,
take
up
it
to
at 70
age-
or 71?
Up to age 70,
Up
correct?
to age 70,
70.
that's right. So for those of you who have pensions, you'll understand this concept. The longer you wait to start taking your pension income, the bigger the monthly check. It's no different with Social Security. The longer you wait to take your Social Security, the bigger check that's going to be. After age 70, here's the caution, it's not going to grow any larger at that point. So 70 is the point that you definitely want to take it. But then here's how you optimize this down. We talk about optimizing
Versus
for you.
maximization.
That's a big deal. Build the optimal system of security. We want to take and look at all of the other assets. You're not going to make a Social Security decision in a vacuum. What you need to do is you need to look at the full picture. That's why when you come in and meet with us, we invite you to bring all of your statements so we can have a full picture. We'll lay that out on the blueprint for you, and we'll help you optimize that and get every nickel out.
Ryan, Tyson, thanks so much. Hey, and make sure you tune in next week for part 2. Guys, we just did the tip of the iceberg today. It's going to be a great show. Stick around. We got a lot of great stuff to come. You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
From my experience, many retirees keep too much of their assets in the stock market after they retire. A well-diversified retirement portfolio should have assets in each of 3 different stages. The youth stage, putting money in savings. The adult stage, putting a portion into investments. And when you reach the mature stage, you should transition from growing and risking and protecting and guaranteeing yourself for income. If you aren't sure about your risk, call or go to askbossretirement.com to get a custom designed, easy to understand financial review. There's no obligation and no cost if you have at least $200,000 saved for retirement. Here's what you'll get: a free report to sort through your current advisor costs, a tailored strategy to help guard against your assets, a tax analysis to potentially reduce your tax liability and increase your cash flow, as well as a custom income plan, plus a budget analysis. Call now or go to askbossretirement.com.
You're watching Retirement Solutions Television, Utah's Retirement TV.
Thanks for watching today's show. If you've got any questions, feel free to go to our website or give us a call.
Remember, retiring successfully doesn't happen by accident. Join us next week.